Hey guys, Technomentary with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about the iPhone 8 Plus going into 2022 and if it's still worth it buying this phone. If you're looking to buy a phone, especially iPhone in this age, what you can expect out of the 8 Plus and why you should get it or why you shouldn't get it, because the answer isn't quite obvious, but there's different sides to it, and all of that we're going to go ahead and explain to you guys. So let's talk about the iPhone 8 Plus. So the iPhone 8 Plus, believe it or not, was released back in September of 2017. So going into 2022, that's going to be almost over 5 years by a couple months by the time you know it. And after 5 years or so, this is generally the point where iPhone start to go ahead and drop their support or start to kind of age. But even after 5 years, we've seen some devices like the 6S still continuing really strong and going strong itself. Some of the unique features of the 8 Plus, of course, it has that beautiful, nice 5.5-inch display. The plus size compared to the regular 8 looks to be the sweet spot, because if you have average size hand, it fits really well. The small one does look really small, especially nowadays where smartphones tend to just go on the bigger side of things. So if you're browsing or watching movies or simply just looking at text and stuff, it's much better when you have a bigger screen to it. So let's talk about other things about it. Of course, it does have that A11 Bionic chip and 3 gigs of RAM. So 3 gigs of RAM, pretty good for even in 2022. Of course, nowadays phones start with almost 6 gigs of RAM, almost double the amount. But 3 gig is still a lot of RAM and lots of power. And that A11 Bionic chip, it does supply a lot of power. And when it comes to battery on the iPhone 8 Plus, you do have a decent sized battery. Of course, it's nowhere near the Pro models of almost 3,000 mAh. This does all have a 2691 mAh battery. So if you're thinking the battery side, it's a decent sized battery. It's, again, it could be better, but it's a decent sized battery. It does hold up pretty well. Gives you pretty much, if you're light to medium user, you pretty much can go most of the day on a single charge. And if you're a heavy user, you might need to charge it twice during the day. Again, if you're a light user, you can pretty much go through the whole day, especially if you're just simply using it to call, text, and browse, and that might just be enough for you on a full single charge. And when it comes to other things, of course, the storage of this phone, so you can actually get this starting with the 64 gig model. You can also get it in a bigger size one. So this one's a 64 gig model. If you wanted more storage, you could get the 256 gig, but that's gonna be it. So you have that 64 and 256 gig on it. And when it comes to camera on this phone, again, it does have a beautiful camera. As you can see, we have the AirPods here. You notice this camera in itself has this feature of portrait mode, which again was pretty much a really cool feature when it came out, especially being able to use all these lighting mode, which took your photography to the next level. And this is the first time we've seen Apple doing that. And then of course those two rear camera, dual 12 megapixel camera, even makes it better for video recording. So if you want to shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second with studio level portrait grade lighting, you can pretty much create some amazing videos. As we've seen, we use this phone to record some of our YouTube videos, and it turns out to be really well, and it does a really good job. Even along those, it has optical image stabilization at 2 times the zoom. So what does that mean? That means it's pretty good when it comes to zooming in when you're looking to zoom at it and have a really stable camera, which Apple seems to do a really good job in. And the last point we want to talk about is the software of this phone. So this phone does update to iOS 15, which is the latest version of the software that came out with iPhone 13 lineup. We do believe that it will get iOS 16 update because the 6S still gets iOS 15 update this year. So expect this phone to get at least iOS 16 and possibly 17. So this phone is still going to be good in terms of major software for another year or so. But come next year in 2023, it might not get iOS 17. Again, that's going to be hitting almost 7 years for its life. So now really, if you're looking at this phone, most likely you won't be able to buy it directly from Apple. That's because Apple no longer sells these devices, and that's going to be the case because iPhone 13's out and Apple generally don't make it. So if you're looking for this phone, most likely you're going to be looking at eBay and Amazon, which will leave the link in the description section if you guys want to check it out. And you can get this phone pretty much like new condition or refurbished or even pre-owned right now for around $200 to $250 on eBay or Amazon, and that's a pretty good deal for an iPhone that started almost close to $700-800 when it came out, and being able to update to the latest version of software makes it more or less worth it still in 2020. So to kind of say, is this phone still worth it in 2022? Yes, and there's also a no. No is more or less, it's more of a yes for us, because what this phone does is that, of course, you have things like Touch ID, you have a big screen. It does get the major update, and the price point for it right now, it's a decently priced phone, and being able to do all of that like it does on a newer phone, again, without any lag or any performance issue, even with a decent battery. It's a good phone for someone that's simply looking to make calls, text, browse, use most of the apps that you want for your social media, your productivity tool, all of that and much more works, and it's going to be supported in 2022. When it's going to be no is that if you're thinking of buying this phone to use for another 3 to 4 years, probably not the phone to get. But if you're looking for a phone to use for the next 1 to 2 years, this is where the iPhone 8 Plus will get you by, and this is definitely a phone that's still worth it to us. And we're going to hear from you guys. If you guys have a comment or opinion about the 8 Plus, if you used it, your thoughts on it, leave it in the comment section. And thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully see you guys next time.